Vishnu is expected any minute, turning up, to sort out the problems of the world, because they're horrendous. We need Krishna back. And if you know where he is, put him in touch, because we've got work to do. And that's really what the card stands for. In a sense, he's like the Hercules of the Orient, who can, bring righteousness back to earth. That's what we need. Yeah, we need righteousness. So, but also humour and beauty. So, some, the Netanyahu types think we're going to bring righteousness by bombing and killing the other, and getting £1,000 bombs, dropping them on Lebanon or whatever, or Gaza. That's not Krishna's way. Krishna does it through dance. He would have got peace between Israel and Gaza by getting dancing teams together of Palestinians and Israeli children who could dance and do wonderful displays. And I still think that's the way to go. I'm with Krishna on this. We should still try beauty and art and music and dance to make peace, instead of this like righteous slogging out war type of approach, which is stupid. Yeah, so let's get more Krishna energy into this, especially when you look at the profound reincarnational cycles of incarnation over time. You've probably reincarnated into each army team going back in time. All the great Israeli army people, they've probably all been Muslims before, and all the Muslims have been Israelis before, and they're just fighting each other life after life. Christian would say, okay, wake up.
Yeah.
Grow up, get with the music. Okay, so that's Krishna. We love him. Any questions? We love him.
Okay.
Yeah, my daughter loves Krishna. She's a great fan of his. Sophie, who was here. So she can tell you more when she comes back. Now we turn to another Indian god, actually. Sort of connected but different. And this is Ganesh, the elephant god, who is page 532. Gosh, right at the end. I like Ganesh. And he's shaped like an elephant. He's the 8 of fire. And it was he who wrote the Mahabharata down, because he had an elephant's memory. And the sage, Vyasa, dictated it to Ganesh, who then could write it down each time. And it's the longest book of poetry ever written on the face of the earth, up to now. Even more than Homer, The story of Ganesh is beautiful and also somewhat tragic. And it relates to another god, Shiva. So, a long time ago, Shiva and Parvati, his wife, were happy. They'd just got married. They were living in a beautiful house in the Himalayas. Kulu Valley, flowers, rhododendrons everywhere, beautiful sunset, clouds. And they were making love, like, half the day and half the night. It was just beautiful. God and goddess making love. What's not to like? And then Shiva got a phone call, as it were, on his psychic, WhatsApp, and said, there's a problem, there's riots going on in the cities of the south, you're needed, or whatever it was. So Shiva said, okay, sorry Parvati, I've got to go for a bit. I'll be away for some time, I don't know how long. But don't let anyone in here when I'm out, right? Don't let anyone... He was afraid for, like warriors might come, and also demon kings and evil forces and CIA and KGB types, they might come. Whatever, you never know. If you're a god, they come and steal your stuff and steal your women, right? And so he put a guard on the door, their son, and he made his son, Ganesh, who was a youngster, but he was divine, right? Stand guard. And he said, don't let anyone in here. Whatever they claim to be, they may say they're the king of the universe. They don't get past this door you protect your mother. And Ganesh swore, fine, nobody's getting through here, Dad. So Shiva went away happily, knowing he could trust his son. And he was away about 6 months, sorting out the riots down south and other problems. And then he rushes back, all excited. You know, he has this way of teleporting like fire, because he's a fire god. He can make a column of fire that jets up and then jets down. So he got back to his house that way. And he's bursting into the room, right? And this boy, he'd forgotten about his son guarding. He's about to throw himself into the room, and this boy suddenly stands up, says, "You can't pass here." You know, and he looks at him, "What the hell are you talking about?" You know, tries to bat him out of the way, because he's forgotten. And the boy just is really strong, and he can't get through. So Shiva just pulls out his laser thing and chops his head off, like, as you would, you know, like you want to see your wife, and now there's this bloody guardian.
He didn't recognize his father.
No, they didn't recognize each other. This is a tragedy.
Yeah.
This is a tragedy. And he bursts in to see his wife, you know. "Hello, Parvati, I'm back." And she looks with horror because she can see their son with his head off, bleeding outside the door. And she screams, "What have you done? What have you done?" And only at that point does Shiva realise he's just killed his son. And it's like shock dawns on him. Anyway, he says, "Oh God, what an idiot I am. Anyway, no problem, I'll fix it." So he goes off into the woods and comes back with an elephant head. An elephant kindly sacrifices himself to Shiva, having asked permission. He brings back the head and it fits on the body of the boy perfectly. And that's why he then comes to life, and he's got an elephant head. And Ganesh, always in art and tradition, is represented with an elephant's head. And that's the reason, that story. Now, what's this about? What's this story? It's about the close relationship between man and animals. We depend on them. Elephants are very important in parts of India for doing the heavy lifting, transport. They were friends to man. Elephants are incredibly sophisticated. They have tremendously advanced hearing. They can hear miles at a distance in Africa and India. They're loving animals. They mourn their dead. They love each other and their children. And they're very compassionate. They're not particularly violent, but if you startle them, you know, they'll defend their young and things. So I think one thing this card is about, what Ganesh is about, why he's such a popular god in India, is because he reminds us of our animal nature. We depend on the animal world. I have a cat. I love her to bits. I love animals. Dogs. I met a lovely dog that came round a tour of the museum the other day. A couple of Druid friends of mine. It was so intelligent. You can see with its little brown eyes. It's got a soul in there, taking everything in. Animals are incredible, and we've evolved out of them. We ourselves are just, you know, sophisticated, grown-up monkey types who've learned how to learn how
Not
to
nice for monkeys.
Well, yeah, we evolved, you know, and we invented language, and we made fire, and, you know, we invented a few new tricks. We're just evolved monkeys, and monkeys are sacred too. So I think that's one thing Ganesh stands for, and the card means it might look like there's tremendous obstacles in the way on the planet. We can't fix everything. The Paris Peace Forum was full of brilliant people doing brilliant things, but the overwhelming sense is the problems are too huge. Nobody can even stop Gaza and Israel fighting, for God's sake. And they, you know, like, nobody can stop Netanyahu he's like a runaway elephant with his crazy people charging into children. Nobody can stop Putin. He's another sort of dark horse that's gone mad. How can we solve, therefore, global warming? Because until these wars are stopped, we can't get a grip on global warming. How can we stop these terrible extreme weather events that are happening everywhere, like floods and so on, if we can't stop the wars, because they're contributing to it. So it's all interconnected, and we need to do joined up thinking, but it's beyond us. Okay, so that's where Muhammad, surrender. Surrender to the divine. But we can surrender to all of the divine. We don't have to surrender to just one person's image of God. Let's draw on the wisdom of all the ages, of all the gods. Surrender to them all. And Ganesh is very important because he can do the heavy lifting for us. That's why I like the team of the gods. And in fact, I've written a screenplay for a movie in which Kalki comes back as the avatar of the 10th avatar of Vishnu. But this time he comes back with all the other avatars. So all 10 of them turn up to solve the problems of the planet. If anyone wants to help me produce that, it's a fantastic script I've written, and it's a Hollywood-Bollywood co-production. It'd be partly shot in America with Hollywood and partly in India with Bollywood. And it ends with dancing. I'll just say it has a happy ending. Because the team of avatars collectively do solve the problems. Anyway, there's more detail in the book about what Ganesh is capable of. But basically, yeah, he's a pretty awesome deity. And you know, on a personal level, if you're feeling stuck and you've got too many problems and you're depressed and can't pay the bills and all this, turn to Ganesh and he will sort that. And that's why I have a copy of Ganesh. I have a little statue in my car. He guides me as I drive around. I never have a crash or anything with Ganesh in there.
Sometimes flat tires, but
Sometimes little flat tire things, yes. No major crashes. Okay, so look, any questions finally?
just it reminds me a lot of hope, because it's kind of renaissance. You cut his head and get a new one, and get stronger and wiser. And
Yeah. Out of chaos comes you know, a victory in the end. Yeah. Yes, in Sindhi, the word for victory is fatah, which I think is the Palestinian root of al-Fatah, victory. And I was thinking that victory for the Palestinians and Israelis has to be, it's a co-victory.
yes,
Both sides win together.
co-victory, yeah.
That's what I want in Israel, Palestine and Ukraine, and also all the wars. I think that's what these gods are saying, co-victory. And let's draw on the divine intelligence. I mean, everyone's talking about AI, artificial intelligence, but I talk about DI, divine intelligence, which all the great sages and prophets of history have all been downloading all these centuries. Well, we can access it all now. It's amazing. I put it all into here.
Yeah.
And this is just the gods. I mean, the companion volumes on the goddess. I hope someone out there is writing. Please do the tarot of the goddesses. I may not have time in this lifetime. I've got other jobs, but somebody should write the tarot of the goddesses as a companion set of 2 volumes, and together we can save this planet. That's the plan. Okay, right, and do read Edward Chouret if you haven't, and not just on Krishna, but there's a great chapter on Christ. He was one of the greatest French thinkers of the 20th century, but he's a kind of philosopher off the beaten track. He was more a mystic and a deep healer. He influenced me a lot when I discovered him in my 20s. Yes, and now I get to live in his country. Thank you, Monsieur Chouret. Voilà.